We're exploring some really compelling ideas from Anthony Jane from his book and YouTube channel, Form and Function Cultivating the Creative Muscle. And our mission really is to figure out why building up this creative ability isn't just for people who call themselves artists. Instead, we want to show how it's actually essential for everyone. Like a vital toolkit that can genuinely help you tackle life's toughest challenges, the big ones and the small ones.
Yeah, and what's really striking about Gene's work, right from the start, is this core argument. We are all inherently creative. It's not some bonus feature given to a few, it's basic, like walking or talking. He really goes head to head with that common feeling so many of us have that you've either got it or you don't. And that's just so empowering, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially if you've ever thought, oh, I'm just not a creative person.
Yep.
It completely flips the script from talent you're born with to potential you can grow.
Okay, let's really dig into that because that phrase, I'm not creative, and Tony Jean says he hears it constantly. He talks about friends seeing his art and being amazed, asking, how do you do that? You're so creative. And his answer almost always is, you can do it too, and actually, you should do it. He's really trying to dismantle this idea that, oh, you don't need to draw or paint or write because you weren't born with the creative gene. He says it's just wrong. And he uses this great analogy, really easy to grasp. He says, creativity, the kind you practice, is exactly like learning to ride a bike.
Or lifting weights.
Exactly. Or lifting weights. You're not born doing it perfectly. It takes time. It takes consistent effort, practice. And crucially, he calls it a muscle, a cognitive muscle, something you can build up with regular exercise.
And that muscle metaphor, if you really think about it, it changes everything. It means creativity isn't this fixed thing you either have or don't. It's dynamic. It's a skill. It's something that gets stronger, more flexible the more you use it, just like, a real muscle.
Right.
Which then brings up a really important question for all of us, right? If it is a muscle we need to exercise, what's it actually for in our day-to-day lives? I mean, beyond making art, what problems does it help us solve?
Ugh. And this is where Gene's argument gets really interesting, I think. This is where he explains the sort of surprising and super practical point of having this creative muscle. He says its main value isn't really about making pretty pictures for the wall. Its real power lies in solving actual real-world problems. He talks very directly about those times when things turn south in your life. And he means the tough stuff, the personal, painful things most of us face eventually. He gives specific examples like relationships, money problems, kids problems, your own health problems. And his big idea is that when you've actually spent time building this creative muscle, that ability you've cultivated becomes the thing that solves that problem you're dealing with. It's like your internal problem-solving engine.
Yeah, and he's not afraid to be blunt about it, even a bit provocative. He actually says, quite forcefully, you are going to have an ability to solve a problem creatively and have creative solutions because you drew a stupid little figure out on a piece of paper. It works that way. It really does.
Stupid little figure. I like that.
Right. But he uses that phrase, I think, to highlight how low stakes the activity can be. It's about the process, not necessarily making a masterpiece. Think about it. When you're just doodling, deciding on a line here, a color there, even if it's simple, you're actually practicing flexible thinking. You're trying things out, solving small visual problems without one single right answer.
So you're training your brain to see different options.
Exactly. To pivot when something isn't working, to be okay with imperfection. It builds mental agility. Comes directly from that creative muscle he's built up.
Wow.
It really shows you the practical side of things we might dismiss as, frivolous. It's not about becoming a professional artist. It's about building this powerful way of thinking that helps you when life throws you a curveball.
That makes total sense. It's less about the finished product and more about all those little decisions, that mental workout you get along the way. How do you train it? What's the workout plan? Gene suggests something pretty straightforward. Consistency. Regular practice. He advises, spend some time, maybe 1 year, just regularly being creative at a certain time. It's about building it into your routine, like, brushing your teeth or going for a walk, making it a habit.
Yeah, building that rhythm.
And what's really freeing, I think, is that he insists it doesn't really matter what you do. He lists all sorts of things: music, dance, creative food, drawing, writing, pottery, painting. He even mentions his own mixed drawing, art, some music, some writing. The specific activity isn't the main thing.
So anything goes, basically.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
The key thing he emphasizes is that you do something that's creative, some kind of creative thing every day. The value isn't in what you produce, but just in the act of engaging that muscle regularly. Showing up is what counts.
And what's great here, and makes his advice feel really doable, is he gives a very specific, practical example for visual art, especially for someone who might feel a bit intimidated. He suggests getting a very small projector and projecting an image, maybe something personal like your very first car you had 25 years ago, onto paper or canvas.
Oh, interesting. Like tracing.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
He describes just tracing the outline and then filling it in with color, trying to get the colors where you like it.
Right.
It's such a concrete, low-pressure way to start for anyone who feels overwhelmed by a blank page or thinks they need amazing drawing skills.
Right. It takes away that pressure of having to invent something from nothing.
Exactly. It lets you engage with the process, start building that muscle memory without the fear of getting it wrong. It kind of demystifies the whole act of creating.
That is a brilliant little hack to get started. It makes it feel much more accessible. But okay, even with something simple like that, there's often this other thing that stalks us, right? Gene really gets into this crucial psychological bit: judgment. He talks about why it's so important not to judge what you create. And maybe even more importantly, not to worry about what other people think. He's super direct about it. He says, don't care if my wife doesn't like it, my kids don't like the drawing, my neighbor doesn't like it, my girlfriend doesn't like it, my boyfriend doesn't like it.
Wow, okay. So ignore everyone.
Basically, yeah. The focus has to be internal, doing it for yourself, for the process, not for applause or approval.
And the connection he makes there is really profound. He argues that practicing this non-judgment in your creative work directly builds a skill that helps you be non-judgmental in life itself. He says that not judging yourself will come in handy later for being able to solve these problems.
Okay, hold on. How does that work? How does just, like, tracing a car without beating yourself up about it actually help you deal with, say, a financial problem later?
Well, think about it. When you let yourself create without that constant inner critic, the voice saying this sucks or what will people think, you're basically building psychological resilience. You're teaching yourself to tolerate uncertainty and imperfection. And what are real world problems full of? Uncertainty and imperfection.
Ah, okay.
Got it. So that acceptance lets you try different things without being paralyzed by the fear of failure. It makes you more adaptive, more flexible, less self-critical when you're facing life's messes, whether it's money or relationships. You start seeing options instead of just dead ends.
So it's like building mental toughness. That ability to say, okay, that didn't work, let's try something else without falling apart. He's really clear that judgment is destructive. It will get in the way of being creative and also asking everyone, sharpening your creative solution skills.
Right. If you're constantly second-guessing yourself or worried about criticism,
you shut down the very thing that's supposed to help you find solutions. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. See? I told you I wasn't creative. So, what does all of this mean for you, listening right now?
well, to wrap it all up, Antoni Jean's core message is just incredibly empowering and practical, too. Creativity isn't some fancy extra. It's a basic life skill we all have and we can all develop. It's not really about becoming a famous artist or making masterpieces. It's about building this solid mental toolkit for solving problems in, well, every part of your life. It's about consistently working that creative muscle so that when challenges pop up, and they always do, you have this built-in ability, this mental flexibility, and this resilience to tackle them in new ways instead of just feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah. So the key things to take away for you, the listener, are basically these. First, just accept it. You are creative. Deep down, Gene really wants you to ditch that limiting belief right now. Second, creativity really is like a muscle. And like any muscle, it gets stronger, it works better when you exercise it regularly, consistently.
Consistency is key. Absolutely. Third, practice it regularly. Pick something, anything creative that appeals to you: drawing, cooking, writing, gardening, even just engaging more actively with music. The what matters less than the how often. And finally, maybe the most important part, let go of the judgment. Seriously. Practicing non-judgment, especially when you're doing your creative thing, builds this inner strength, this willingness to experiment. That's what ultimately sharpens your ability to find creative solutions and handle tricky situations in all areas of your life, way beyond just making stuff.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. If a simple act, something low stakes like sketching that stupid little figure Gene talks about, something that frees you from needing it to be perfect, can genuinely help you solve complex life problems, what seemingly frivolous creative activity might you explore starting today? And think about it. What problem in your life right now could really use a fresh dose of that creative thinking you've been building?